15 to 18 and 12.5 to 16%, depending on the holding period as currently applicable. But this will apply to the shares or securities acquired after the 1 July 2015. Similarly, rate on withholding tax on non-filers are proposed to be enhanced. There are number of categories, and I have listed it here: payment to contractors, payment to permanent establishment by 1%, and similarly payment to permanent establishment 12 to 14%, payment to permanent establishment for execution of contracts, that is for services. Similarly, payment to non-residents for sale of goods, and payment to resident persons for services from 12% to 14.5%, and from 15% to 17.5%. Payment to resident persons for execution of contracts from 10 to 12, and again 12 to 12.5%. Similarly, on the immovable property transactions, 15% to 7.5%, prize winnings 20 from 20 to 25%, commission or discount 15 to 17.5%, gas bills on CNG stations from 4 to 6, advance tax on auction of property 10 to 15. Withholding tax from non-residents, payment to non-residents person for rendering providing services liable to reduction under 151. The finance bill proposed to clarify that the service charges are retained. Now, this is basically, this amendment probably necessitated by a court decision. Payment to non-resident, there are certain situations where the payer as an agent retain his part of the consideration or service charges and remit the principal amount. तो उसके ऊपर एक पोजीशन थी कि भाई if the amount is not actually remitted from Pakistan, sorry, हाँ यही स्लाइड है कि then the shared person वो अगर रिटेन करेगा तो उसके ऊपर विदहोल्डिंग होगा, और इसमें पीटीवी का डिसीजन था जिसमें कोर्ट ने कहा था कि भाई ये एप्लीकेबल नहीं, रिटेंशन के ऊपर एप्लीकेबल नहीं होगा. नाउ दैट हैज बीन डन अवे विद. वैलिडेशन ऑफ नोटिफिकेशंस, आई थिंक इसमें अदनान ने काफ़ी डिबेट कर ली है, एंड एज लॉयर से आई अडॉप्ट हिज आर्गूमेंट्स. Withholding tax on branchless banking, the provisions of advance tax under section 231A has been proposed to apply not to in respect of cash withdrawals made from the branchless bankings. I think good move. Advance tax on commercial and domestic electricity. है तो ये clarificatory nature की, but I think it has its implications कि अगर 360,000 रुपीज़ पर एनम तक प्रपोज इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का बिल है तो उसके ऊपर विदहोल्डिंग टैक्स होगा, लेकिन विदहोल्डिंग टैक्स पहले सिर्फ कॉस्ट ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिसिटी के ऊपर विदहोल्डिंग टैक्स होता था. अब नाउ दैट विल इन द विदहोल्डिंग टैक्स विल आल्सो बी डिडक्टेड ऑन द सेल्स टैक्स एंड अदर incidental charges. So additional revenue for FBR. With this, I close. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your detailed presentation. And we all heard that there is just one amendment where Saqib Saab said that he did not understand the rationale, and that was the increase of minimum tax. So hopefully in the question and answer session, remaining rationals will be asking him, what are the rationals, if you understand, of increasing the remaining rates. I would now like to request Dr. Ishfaq Hassan Saab for his presentation on the macroeconomic scenario of Pakistan. Please welcome Dr. Ishfaq Saab.
Let me first thank ICAP for giving me this opportunity, and particularly Shah Saab, because he called me and that you have to come to Karachi. And I said, this is month of Ramadan. So kaha ki ji aap bas bol ke aur chale jaएं. So this is exactly what I will be doing. I will be leaving in about 30 minutes time back to Islamabad. So my presentation is totally different. We have been discussing the each and every micro details of taxation, but my presentation is in a broader scale and forward-looking. So let me start with budget. This budget is very unusual in a sense that it has been presented in an environment of extreme political uncertainty. Even the parliament has not yet started debating the budget. You can see that. The budget was presented on 26th of May, and today we are 5th of June, and formal discussion on budget has not yet started in the parliament. So you can see that the environment in which the budget has been presented as well as prepared, because finance minister was most of the time was out of the country and he did not give much time to look into the macro details of the budget. So, so this is one thing, that this budget has been presented in an extreme political uncertainty. Second, the key actors who have prepared the budget may not be there when the new fiscal year starts. For example, Finance Secretary will be retiring on 18th, who has signed the budget document. And the Chairman FBR, he is on current charge basis, acting charge. He has retired. So he will be also leaving because there will be a new chairman. So the tax target which has been given there, the next person will say, कि जी मैंने तो नहीं fix किया था ये target. And finance minister will also be busy for many other respect. So the implementation of this year's budget is a challenge. It is an election year budget, purely keeping election in the mind, and the budget has been prepared. So all the targets that you see from my side, the targets, revenue targets is grossly exaggerated and expenditures are understated. Because as you will see in a moment, or rather when the fiscal year ends, all these numbers will be totally gone. There will be new numbers. For example, budget deficit for the year 2016-17, which is currently going on, will be somewhere, according to our calculation, 5.6% of GDP. And next year, 2017-18, the target is 4.1%. It will be somewhere around 5.6%. But the risk is that it will be even higher than that. And if you look at historically, during when the last year of the budget and the election year, it has always remained above 6% of GDP. So this is what we will be witnessing in the next 2017-18 budget as well. This is an expansionary budget, or fiscal policy is expansionary in nature and supported by expansionary monetary policy. So whenever we have expansionary fiscal and expansionary monetary policy, it fuels aggregate demand, and which has resulted into acceleration of imports. Imports are already rising at a much faster pace, 15.5% in 2016-17. It might get further acceleration, which will have a serious implications for our trade and external balance of payment. In 2017-18, I expect political uncertainty to persist. Politics, rather than economics, will take the center stage. Reckless borrowing with pride and pleasure will continue. We have borrowed $1 billion from Chinese Development Bank only last week. And this type of borrowing will continue with pride and pleasure. Inappropriate exchange rate, along with expansionary fiscal and monetary policy, is going to have a serious consequences for our trade gap, which will further widen. Our imports are more than double of our exports. And if imports are rising at a much faster pace than exports, the danger is that your external balance of payment will come under severe pressure. Debt servicing will be the requirement between $8 and $8.5 billion. But let me go back to a table which I have prepared, a table for you. Because I said that my presentation is a forward-looking. What will happen next year? आज इस साल जो होना था वो हो गया. आगे क्या होगा? उसमें ज़्यादा इंटरेस्ट है. ये थोड़ा सा historical भी है debt के हवाले से. My forecast is that this year our debt, external debt and liabilities will be $80.3 billion. And our current account deficit will be somewhere between $8.5 to $9 billion. आपको हैरानी होगी कि 12 नवंबर 2016, 6 महीने पहले मैंने यही नंबर दिया एक डेट के कॉन्फ्रेंस में, और उसके बाद हमारे वजीर ख़जाना साहब ने एक सफ़े का एक आर्टिकल लिखा और उसमें जो कुछ भी वो हमें बुरा भला कह सकते थे कहा उन्होंने. फॉर एग्जाम्पल दैट आई एम destabilizing the government, I am creating despondency through my writings, I am selective in presenting the facts, and also I am committing disservice to the nation. 6 महीने के बाद कहाँ हमारे वज़ीर ख़ज़ाना खड़े और कहाँ मैं खड़ा. जो मैंने कहा था वही हुआ, बल्कि उससे बदतर हालत में आ गया हाल. मैंने तो $7.5 बिलियन कहा था कि करंट अकाउंट डेफिसिट होगा. अभी तो ये 8.5 और 9 के दरमियान होगा. मैंने कहा था $80 बिलियन डेट होगा. Moody's in its report said that debt will be $79 billion. What a great difference between 79 and $80 billion. Moody's did not take into account the new number of current account deficit. जब ये ऐड करेंगे तो इससे भी ज़्यादा हो जाएगा. अगले साल क्या होगा? Our current account deficit, ये नेक्स्ट इसमें ये है कि our requirement, dollar requirement will be very large. We will be needing $8 to $8.5 billion for debt servicing. इस साल तकरीबन $7 बिलियन है. Current account deficit somewhere between $12.5 to $13.5 billion, compared with $8.5 to $9 billion this year. So the total requirement of dollar will be somewhere between $20.5 to $22 billion. ये इतने डॉलर की जरूरत है. आएगा कहां से? ये सोर्सेज हैं हमारे. ट्रेडिशनल सोर्सेस, चाइनीज फाइनेंसिंग एंड फॉरेन इन्वेस्टमेंट. $3 बिलियन का मैं एक्सपेक्ट कर रहा हूं अगले साल. टोटल इनफ्लोज विल बी $11.5 बिलियन. हमारी जरूरत कितनी होगी? 22. आएगा कितना? 11.5 बिलियन. So our total financing requirement is $20.5 to $22 billion. Likely financing available $11.5 billion, and the gap is $9.5 to $10 billion. Issue ये है कि ये 9.5 से $10 बिलियन कहाँ से आएगा और कौन देगा ये इतना पैसा? This is a serious issue.